Welcome to the Career Services presentation on resumes. In this presentation, you will learn about the various parts of a resume, important formatting tips, and step-by-step instructions on what goes into each section on a resume. If you need additional assistance after this presentation concludes, please visit Career Services, located in Eckerd Hall, room 316. There will be more information about our office at the end of this presentation. For now, let's get started discussing resumes. Resumes can vary depending on industry, job type, and your specific experience, but overall, every resume has similar sections included. We will go into more detail on each of these throughout the presentation. The parts of a resume include your name and contact information. This is the most important part. A summary statement, which is optional. Education, including relevant classes. Work experience. Internship experience, if you've completed an internship. Volunteer experience. Extracurricular activities or campus involvement, honors and awards, computer skills if it applies to the job, language skills, and any additional sections for information that may be related to the position to which you are applying. This could include things like laboratory skills, research experience, and/or presentations. Including additional sections like these will depend on the type of job you are applying for. Employers receive hundreds of resumes for one position, and oftentimes will look at resumes for no more than 10 seconds before making a decision on whether they are interested in a candidate or not. 10 seconds. That's a very short period of time. How can they do that? Formatting is one easy way for them to make this decision. If the information on your resume is easy to read and easy to find, they are more likely to keep reading. If the information is cluttered, messy, or riddled with errors, they are more likely to move on to the next candidate. This is why formatting is so important. Keep the margins at 1 inch or 3/4 of an inch to prevent it from looking too cluttered or to have too much white space. Be consistent. We recommend keeping all of your dates on the right-hand side of the page. This allows for more room for the content and allows the dates to be easy to find for the employer. Make sure all of the fonts are consistent in how you list the experiences. For instance, if you list the employer name first, then your job title, do that for all of your experiences. This will make it easy for the employer to find the information they are looking for. Make sure your text is easy to read. Don't go under size 10 font. It'll be too small and hard to read. Keep the font professional. Some of the fonts listed are good fonts to use. Make sure your name is at least 1 to 2 font sizes bigger and bolded so it stands out. You want that to be the first thing they notice when they look at your resume. Bold your headings or underline them, whichever you prefer. Just be consistent. When bolding or underlining, be sure to not overdo it, as then it takes away from your content. Keep the font black, and don't include any pictures or graphics, headshots, or clip art. Resumes do not include full sentences. Instead, use bullet points to highlight accomplishments and skills. Every bullet point starts with an action verb, and you will not include any first-person pronouns such as I, me, or my. You do not need to include references or supervisors' names on your resume. That will go on a separate page. You do not need to say references available upon request, as it has been listed on resumes so long that it is now understood. Finally, be sure to save your resume both as a Word document and as a PDF. Different applications may require different formats, and it's great to have both available and ready to submit. After formatting, one of the most important parts of your resume is your name and contact information. Surprisingly, we have seen numerous resumes come through our office missing some of this information, or including incorrect or outdated information. Often this is the area of the resume you spend the least amount of time on, so be sure to have someone else review it before you submit your application. If you are missing information, or if the information is not correct, the employer won't be able to contact you even if they are interested. In addition, make sure whatever email address you provide is professional and appropriate. And be sure to check your email often. Respond to emails within 24 to 48 hours. Also check the spam or junk mail folder, as sometimes important emails will automatically go there. In regards to your phone number, include only one phone number. You don't need to specify whether it's a home phone or cell phone. Make sure you have set up your voicemail and that the message that the employer will hear is appropriate and includes your name. Check your voicemails often and call employers back within 24 to 48 hours. As you are all students at Aurora University, you will want to be sure to include Aurora University in the education section on your resume. Be sure to also include the location, city and state, even though it seems redundant. Include the degree that you're obtaining, along with any minors or concentrations, your expected graduation date, month and year only, and your GPA if it is at or above a 3.0. In this section, you may also want to include relevant classes that you have taken. These are classes that are relevant to the job to which you are applying, so they do not necessarily have to be within your major, though many will be. Don't list all of your classes, but only the ones that are relevant. Be sure to include course names, not the numbers. If you transferred to Aurora University, you can include the institution you transferred from especially if you earned a separate degree there, oftentimes an associate's degree. You do not need to include high school information unless you are in your first year or two of college. All high school information should come off your resume at the latest by sophomore year. If you've worked part-time or full-time, you will want to include your work experience. You will include the name of the employer, the location of the employer, city and state, your position title, and the dates you worked there. If you are still working there, it'll say when you started, month and year to present or current. If you are no longer employed there, then you will include the dates you started until the dates you finished. Remember, you will be using bullet points in this section to describe your work, skills, and accomplishments. Each bullet point should start with an action verb. You can find a list of action verbs for resumes online or in our office. You want to talk not just about what you did, but also how you did it. For instance, instead of saying rang up sales, you could say something like demonstrated strong communication and time management skills when ringing up sales and assisting customers. This second bullet point tells me not only that you know how to ring up sales, but that you have communication and time management skills which are transferable to many different types of jobs. If you struggle with coming up with these accomplishments or skill statements, remember that Career Services is here to help. For all current experiences, keep the action verbs in present tense. For previous experiences, every action verb should be in past tense. This keeps things consistent for the reader. Remember, consistency is key on resumes. List all of your work experiences in reverse chronological order, meaning your most recent work experience to your oldest. This is true in other sections as well. Also, when applying for specific positions, read the job descriptions to find out what skills they are looking for. Many job postings have a qualifications section where they list desired qualifications and skills of the candidates applying. If you possess any of these skills, be sure they are listed on your resume. They will help pique the interest of the reader. Work experience is not the only type of experience you can list on your resume. If you have completed an internship, whether it was for academic credit or not, you can list it on your resume as soon as you start. It will be formatted similarly to the work experience section, including the name of the internship employer, the location, dates employed, and your title, even if it's just intern. Again, include bullet points of not just what you did, but how you did it. You can also list information about volunteer experience, campus involvement or student organizations, or any additional leadership experience. Be sure you can talk about anything you include on your resume in an interview. In other words, don't just list something because it looks good. Make sure you have something to say about the experience. Also note that not every experience listed needs to be a paid experience. Any experience is good experience, regardless of whether you receive a paycheck or not. As you are listing these experiences, be careful with using some of these phrases. Many of these qualities are not bad in and of themselves, but are often overused or not specific enough. For instance, being a team player is a great quality, but instead of just mentioning that you were a team player, talk about where you worked on a team. You could say something like, collaborated with a team of 10 members to complete a semester-long project. That tells me more than just saying you are a team player. The same goes for many of the other phrases listed. Don't just tell me what you did or what skills you have, show me. Demonstrate them by providing details about your experiences. There may be some additional sections you will want to include depending on your experiences and the position to which you are applying. For instance, if you are applying for a job that will require extensive use of various computer programs, including a computer skills section would be useful, listing off the specific program knowledge that you have. Try not to oversell your abilities. If you say you are proficient in a particular program, make sure you have used it more than once and are very familiar with it. If you only have basic knowledge, then indicate it as such. Language skills are important for any position, even if they are not required. If you are bilingual or have conversational abilities in one or more different languages outside of English, include that. Be careful when using the word fluent if you are not truly fluent. Employers have been known to start speaking in another language in the interview to test your fluency, so don't lie. If you only have conversation abilities, say that on your resume. Honors, awards, and scholarships can be listed in the education section, but oftentimes are better suited for a separate section on your resume, listing these achievements. This is the time to showcase these. You should not include hobbies and interests unless they are requested. In addition, as mentioned previously, you do not need to include references available upon request, as it is now understood. Save that line for something more important. While you should not include references on your resume, you should create a separate page, not part of your resume, for references, even if it's not required for the position. It's good to have these ready to go in case you are asked for them at an interview. Start thinking now about who you might want to serve as a reference. Think about people that would provide strong and specific references. They could be professors, supervisors, coworkers, even customers. Avoid using personal connections, family or friends, unless requested to do so. Be sure to ask your references if they'd be willing to serve as a reference before listing them. Don't be offended if someone says no, especially a professor you may have only had for one class. They might be too busy, or they might feel they have not gotten to know you well enough to provide a strong reference for you. As mentioned earlier in the presentation, reviewing the job posting of what you are applying for will help you decide what skills and qualifications to highlight in your resume. In that sense, your resume should be tailored to each position. This does not mean you will have an entirely new resume for every position, but instead means you may add or delete certain skills or experiences based on what they are looking for. This will help you stand out from the other candidates applying for the job. In addition, save your resume with your name in the file name. The employers can see the file name, and this is helpful when they save it. This way they can easily find your resume when they're looking for it later. Have you ever tried to Google yourself? We recommend searching for your name and your email address at least once a month to see what's out there about you, as employers will do the same. Being aware of what's out there allows you to control some of the content, or at least be able to address it in an interview if asked. LinkedIn is a great way to have a professional online presence. In many ways, it's like your online resume. However, you can be a bit more detailed on this and even include presentations, projects, and additional details that may not fit on your resume. If you haven't created a LinkedIn profile, visit the website and it will walk you through setting up your profile. It's very easy, but if you have questions, we can help. Career Services is here to help. Resumes are important documents in your job or internship search, and we want you to have the best document you could possibly have. We can help you start a resume, update your current one, or tailor a resume or cover letter to a specific position of interest. We are open Mondays through Fridays from 8 to 5 by appointment, or you can walk in on Fridays from 10 to 1. We are located in Eckert 316. You can call or email us at the information you see on the screen. Good luck on your resume, and we look forward to seeing you soon.